Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Essential Lavender from Jocu playing cards. Jocu is the duo of Anthony Holt and designer Alessandra Gaggliano. The pair have been doing cards for a couple of years now, going back to their first deck, Fila Day, back in 2019. Been a big fan of their work ever since and followed them through a number of different decks. And so when they started their Inner Circle, their subscription service, I was on it from day one. The Inner Circle works a little bit like Patreon. Basically, there's a monthly subscription fee, and then every quarter they send you out some decks. Those decks include some decks that are exclusive to the Inner Circle line, but also include some unreleased decks. And this is one of those unreleased decks. So eventually this will be available to the public, but for now, the only way to get it is if you're a member of the Inner Circle. So if you're not a member, I'll put a link down in the description where you can go check it out for yourself. I highly recommend it. Not only do you get access to the decks, but you also get access to a wealth of details and storyline. They really turn it in with the forums, turn it into this immersive experience for their decks that really is worthwhile to me. And by the way, if you like what you see here, if you sign up for the Inner Circle, you get access to the exclusive Inner Circle store where these decks are currently available. So yet another perk that you get there. But that said, let's check out Essential. This one doesn't follow mythology like some of their other decks do. Instead, this one's inspired by botanical elements and specifically the process of making essential oils. Basically, these oils that represent the very essence of the plants that they came from. In this case, lavender. And those oils are used maybe in aromatherapy, sometimes as a food additive, or even as alternative medicine. But let's take a look at the deck. All right, starting with the tuck case, it's done by Boscheiro Newton. They do a lot of the tucks nowadays for Jocu, and they always do phenomenal work with their printing. Their foiling and embossing is just impeccable, and this one's no exception. It's done on a deep purple, almost pinkish purple color here, and it features tons of gold foil and really rich embossing that gives it a great feel to it. You have Essential and this sort of spindly font at the top, and then a glowing bottle with a medicine dropper of the essential oils surrounded by some of the plants. But what makes this really cool is the layering of multiple foil types on the bottle here. So of course you can see that gold foil everywhere, but as I tilt this, you'll probably see elements of both the holographic foil and the clear foil over the top, all of which kind of give the illusion of this as the actual glass on the bottle. So you can see the gold foil through the clear foil there. It's a really great effect and one that's used to, really well here to give life to that bottle and really just that much extra depth to the tuck case. So really well done there. As you come to the sides, turns relatively simple, just says Essential by Jocu playing cards on one side and Made in Europe on the other. Bottom has your ad copy, including for Jocu playing cards, of course, Boscheiro and Newton, who printed the tucks, and the cards by Cardamundi. Top has the name of the deck once more, Essential, and the back here features a foiled and embossed version of the back design of the card. So look at the details there in a second, but you can really see some of those holographic foils. Look around the edges there, just really popping out with that gold. As you open up the inner flaps, you get single drop of essential oil there, and on the other two inner flaps. And the interior changes colors here. So where it's a deeper purple on the outside, you have this faint pale lavender color on the inside. This is actually a different paper. So they use two different papers for the tuck. And this paper, interestingly, is actually made from crushed lavender seeds. It's an amazing detail. I think the first time I remember Jocu doing that was back with the hops and barley decks when they made it out of paper that actually had beer byproducts in it to fit in with the theme. And so here they found paper that actually had crushed lavender in it. Really great touch to it. And of course, opulent gold foil added all the way down to sort of completes the look. So really well done. And one extra little secret that you'll notice if you get this in hand, there's actually a very, very slight scent that's been added to the tuck. And so if you give it a whiff, you'll actually get a faint hint of lavender with it. Great attention to detail. Expected nothing less from Jocu. They always do a great job with that. And kudos to Boscheiro and Newton for the tuck. But that said, let's take a look at the cards. All right, the color scheme on the back feels relatively simple, just white ink against that deep purple background to the cards. Really unique color for the back, for the card backing there. And then the design, which kind of relatively monochrome against it, features lots of botanical elements all the way through. But the central element are these two medicine droppers dropping that single drop of essential oil, and then that sort of glowing halo effect. Almost makes these look like candles if you just glanced at this, but you can see really clearly there the medicine dropper look. So very classic feeling, two-way design, lots of botanical elements to just sort of give your eyes something to look at. And then that series of borders finishing with that purple poker border around the edge. So really nicely done here. I do wish the back color had matched the face of the cards, but overall can't complain too much about the artwork on that. All right, now into the Quartz. Now, this isn't a mysticism inspired deck, but the Jokers, you'll see little elements of sort of a more fanciful feel to them overall, kind of a little bit of mysticism and magic brought in. The first Joker, you can really see Alessandra Gaggliano's art style here, but features kind of a fairy pixie with those vines coming out of her head, and then she's sprinkling lavender off on the sides. Really kind of has that fun, fanciful look to it overall, and a really cool sort of muted purples and greens to form the color palette there. I have that purple Joker in the corners, and then the second Joker has a gentleman here with the classic Jester's cap, and you can see he's actually in the process of distilling essential oil. So he has his still there, and you can see the drops going into the bottle there at the bottom. Actually, I was reading somewhere that it actually takes 250 pounds of lavender to get a single pound of essential oil. So hoping he's got a huge pile of lavender off there somewhere. But again, a really cool look at those sort of vibrant color palette that's used on this one. All right, so there's your two Jokers. You also get a gaff card, a double backer, always a good one to get, and an ad card that gives a little bit of a thank you for the deck. Also mentions, by the way, the Inner Circle subscribers for their help and support in helping to create the deck. All right, now on to the aces. Now, all four aces are relatively the same. There's no one power ace, and they have this sort of understated beauty to them. You get that classic kind of more bulbous styled spade pip there in the center. Has that extra little accent of green, just a small little bit of, you know, embellishment or customization on the pip, but still kind of brings it to life. And then you get the dropper and that single drop of the essential oil finishing it out. And that same is followed through on all four of the aces. Now the color scheme is a little bit different in keeping with the lavender theme. You get a super dark purple on the black cards, and then kind of more that reddish purple on the red cards. So you get two different shades of purple on these. Pip and index in the corner, so you get the classic style index in a slightly custom font, and then that custom pip as well. So there's your aces. Number cards have the same style pips, minus the droppers and essential oil drops that we saw in the other ones, but otherwise same style pips in a pretty classic layout. Nice, big, easy to read pips all the way through, and very recognizable. So nicely done on these. Simple customization on these overall, but I think really done well to keep this sort of a more classic feeling deck. So there's your hearts. And then we get into the Quartz. And this is always, to me, the highlight of Alessandra Gaggliano's artwork. On these, she features sort of, I would call them classically inspired court cards, but definitely fully custom. They definitely are sort of inspired by royalty that you'd find on the classic courts, but in these, they're given a complete makeover, from the faces and the hair to the clothes and the items they're holding. Of course, with the essential deck, all of them are sort of holding items that are related to essential oils in some way. Like you can see the Jack here with the little vial, the bottle of essential oil in his hand. And the faces and the hair really kind of capture that classic Alessandra Gaggliano style. I love in particular when she does this, like you can see it really well with the King of Spades, that sort of two-tone with the big fat lines in the hair. I think it really has this sort of distinctive style that I like. I love the color schemes on these. I wish the backgrounds maybe had been a little bit bolder. I don't know, maybe that would have distracted from the colors of the court cards themselves. So I don't know, maybe it was better that it kept it in the gray, but I would have liked to have seen that pattern maybe a little bit more brought forward. But overall, really beautifully illustrated court cards as always from Alessandra. So you go into the diamonds. So here's those, very much in sort of keeping with that similar style color scheme overall. And then you can see things like lavender plants, or in this case, a little pouch of lavender that the King of Diamonds is holding. I will say some of the faces look a little bit more awkward than others. Like for some reason, that Jack of Diamonds, I can't put a finger on it, but somehow the shape of the face, not quite as good as some of the others. But overall, I think I'm nitpicking at this point. I still think these are really beautiful court cards overall. Love the color schemes, love the small customizations while still keeping them very functional and usable court cards. Now, Queen of Hearts, probably my favorite, that little sprinkling of the lavender seeds. I think just really gives it a cool look to it overall. So there's your heart quartz. And that's the deck. Now these are printed by Cartamundi on their slimline B9 stock and really just handles beautifully. Cartamundi decks, some of my favorite, just super soft feel to them overall, great handling. Now, that said, this isn't the only version of Essential. There is another, show that real quick. This is another one you can get if you're a member of the Inner Circle, and this is the gilded version of the deck. Now, for the most part, it's the same. You can look at the tucks and say, hey, nothing looks different about these. There's only two real differences. One is the simple tuck seal on the corner here. You can see they're numbered out of just 200, so I got number 12. And as you open it up, the cards are the same except for the magnificent gilding that's been added on the edge. So these same deck, but adds really, really nice gold gilding. You can see reflective mirror surface, and that gold just matches great with the overall themes of the deck. Brings back some of those golds that were used on the tuck case and pairs them with that lavender and those purples all the way through. So that's the other version of the deck. Really just a great pair overall. And to me, a great classic and functional deck. This is a deck that I think you could use for gameplay. You could use it for Magic. I think it's standard enough that you can use it for Magic. Maybe a little distracting there. But for gameplay, for sure. And just as a fun art and collector's deck, especially if, like me, you're a fan of Jocu and Alessandra's art. But that is it for Essential. Hope you enjoyed this look. Make sure to check out the link in the description if you want to sign up for Inner Circle. I cannot recommend it enough. It's probably my favorite subscription that I currently have in playing cards. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.